Hi there, how's it going, you guys? It's Kevin Schmidt, physical therapist, owner of Pedal PT out here in Portland, Oregon. Wanted to take just a couple minutes just to talk a little bit about foot pain when we're riding the bike. I've been talking to a lot of folks lately with complaints of pain in the arch of the foot, people with pain kind of underneath the big toes or kind of underneath that row of bones in the foot when you're pedaling, as well as ankle pain. This also includes those of you with Achilles pain or pain in the calf as well. I want to talk a little bit about just kind of positioning of that, things that we generally look for in the clinic when we're trying to find people with foot pain. So we're going to kind of just start at the bottom, kind of work our way up. We'll probably try to do more of these videos like this as well. So first things first, like I said, when we talk about fitting a shoe and a cleat, we got to pay attention to the cleat position, number one, when we're dealing with somebody with foot pain or with ankle pain or Achilles pain for that instance. So this is your general kind of cycling shoe, come in a variety of different sizes and shapes. If we turn this underneath here, we've got kind of a 2-bolt system. This is a Shimano SPD cleat, but this pretty much counts, and all this information is useful for any kind of cleat that you're using, whether it be a road style cleat, Speed Play, Crank Brothers, you name it. Any of these cleats, the philosophy applies to you guys as well. So the first thing that we look for is whenever we're looking at a person with, let's start out with maybe say arch pain or pain in the arch of the foot, almost like muscle cramping, things of that nature. What we tend to find with folks with that type of pain is the cleat tends to be a little bit too high. When we're orienting the foot over the pedal, we tend to want to have the ball of the foot centered over the center of the pedal, which is right around where the pedal spindle is. But for the purpose of this video, let's talk about just if the cleat is too far towards the toes, what ends up happening then is if this is our foot, we start to kind of try to almost claw with our toes when we're pedaling. Instead of pushing kind of with the ball of the foot, which is a much more stable platform, it doesn't require a lot of toe activation or flexion of the toes. So if the cleat is too far forward, we tend to find people want to claw in order when they're pedaling. And that typically will result in that pain kind of in the arch of the foot, kind of that cramping sensation, sometimes even some tingling and numbness. With that same concept, if this cleat is too far forward, this is also what we tend to find with people with more calf pain, kind of back of the leg, the calf, as well as into the Achilles. And the reason behind that is if we're pedaling and the force production is too far forward towards the toes, we're getting a really long lever arm kind of between the pedal and the foot and the leg. And that excessive force can lead to kind of injury and pain into those areas. Now, for those folks with Achilles pain, we tend to find folks with cleats too far toward the toes. Sometimes those folks will oftentimes pedal with heel down. Whenever you're pedaling, you never want to pedal with your heel down. No matter whoever told you that, just forget you heard that. But in general, when we're pedaling, we want to tend to have maybe about 10 to 15 degrees of plantar flexion or pointing the toes ever so slightly. The foot then, the goal is to keep the foot at that same angle and that foot angle at the same throughout the pedal stroke as well. So you should never have to feel like you're flipping your foot or flicking your toes or anything like that in order to make that pedal stroke. So ideally, this is flat. We want to just heel up a little bit and then it should stay the same way throughout that pedal stroke. Those of you that pedal heel down, kind of like that, a lot of times you'll be pushing through or the heel will drop, and that a lot of times will put pain more in that Achilles as well. Now, as far as ankle pain goes, the most common time we see ankle pain is usually when it has to do more of on the outside of the foot or the inside of the foot as well. When we tend to find that usually has to do a little bit more with what we talk about cleat rotation. This little cleat can actually twist inside and outside. This is a right shoe, mind you. So if we turn this cleat, turn it in, what that does is it allows our heel to come in when we're pedaling, which is generally what we want when we're pedaling. We never want to be pedaling with the heel out. The more that does, that kind of turns the foot inwards. It allows our knee to collapse inwards as well and put a lot more stress both on the knee and the ankle as well. So those would be some things to look at as well. So in general, when in doubt, the cleat is probably too far toward the toes. We generally need to bring that back. The only risk you run with running that cleat too far backwards is you're just losing efficiency. So then the shorter this gets, you're just shortening up the lever arm from the foot to the pedal as well. So, but if you are having pain, the generalized idea is just always tend to move that cleat down. There are some other subtle things that we can talk about as far as side to side, but for the purpose of this video, I just want you to think about if you're having arch pain, toe pain, pain underneath the ball of the foot, generally you got to move the cleat back and be careful that we are adding a slight amount of rotation inwards to that cleat. If we turn it the other direction, outwards, the heel is going to come out, and we're going to kind of set ourselves up for trouble with that too as well. If you have any questions about fitting your cleats, it's a simple system, yet it can be very complex depending on the symptoms you're having. Now that I'm thinking about that too, also, if we have the cleat tend to be too far forward, so we're thinking about calf pain, Achilles pain, one last tip, is we also tend to find that people's saddle tends to be too high as well. So they're used to really pushing with those tips of the toes. Those are the folks that'll typically pedal with their toes down. We kind of call it ballerina toes when you're pedaling like that as well. Ideally, we need to sometimes move the cleat back, lower the saddle then to allow them to get that ankle in a more neutral position as we're pedaling. So when we go through all the repetition of cycling, we won't cause that unnecessary repetitive stress strain type injuries that we tend to see in the clinic. So reach out if you guys have questions, shoot them down below. Happy to help you guys with this stuff, but I thought this was a good review since we've been seeing a lot of folks with foot and ankle pain. So again, Kevin Schmidt, physical therapist out here in Portland, Oregon, founder of Pedal PT. Reach out if you guys need anything. Have a great day. Peace.